Welcome back to episode 5 of the Askem Studios Wedding Podcast. My name is Todd, and I am opposed on the other side of the room by my lovely wife,
Kelly.
She's dutifully shaking her head as we've tried to do this intro a couple different times now. So we are a little rusty. It has been a little while. I think our last podcast was at the beginning of May. We had a extremely busy month of May, and then we had end of the year activities, kids getting out of school, kids having activities, preparing for a son who's going into his senior year, trying to make him shave, which is defiance upon defiance.
He did finally do it. He said because he loves me so much that he'll do it.
Right.
So he did. And then it was funny because, I guess because we do what we do, I know what photography looks like, and so this was done it was like a studio type thing, and of course I like natural photos. So, and I should have known this going into it, but I was expecting it to be like this, I don't know. I guess I expected it to be like a more natural smile and things like that, but it wasn't. It was very posed because that's the kind of photography that they're doing. They're doing yearbook photos.
Right.
Well,
it was, so we definitely have had our hands full and have had a lot on our plates. So, but anyways, we just wanted to come back. Wanted to let people know we have not gone anywhere. Of course, we've had the editing in the process on top of it. We did battle a little bit there minorly with some household bug that was going around. We were down for about a week. So
yeah, kids brought something back from Florida. I don't know.
Or I brought something back from DC. One of the two. Who knows? But anyways, so today we're talking about comparison can undermine your day. So I was hoping that title sounded a little clickbait to make people listen. We'll see. So anyways, but jumping into this, Kelly, one of the things I wanted to go over with this subject is trying to find out, what ways do you think that comparison can help couples in their wedding day and their wedding day preparation?
Well, I think, anytime you're planning a wedding, you're going to kind of look at what other people have done to kind of get ideas as to things that you may like or you may not like. So I think that that's just a natural thing. I mean, I think as people, we naturally kind of compare, what we like to what other people like and, kind of make a determination from that. But, you definitely want to not try and your wedding is your wedding. There's no outdoing somebody, so in that way, you're not trying to compare as to who's better or who's worse. You may just want to compare to things that, I want to include this, I don't want to include that.
Yeah, I notice a lot on some of the social media groups. We belong to a lot of the wedding groups, and so there will be messages on there from couples that are either newly engaged and they're looking, or they have a venue that they're going to be going to that someone else has been to. And we'll see comments on there and asking, kind of comparing. And I think you nailed a pretty good point right there. There is a danger that goes along with, trying to compare. I think that's human nature as well. I think that comparison goes across the board. And so it's very easy to get wrapped up in this ideology that maybe my wedding's not as great as Susie Q's wedding because look at everything they had from this. So I think that really honing in your personalities, making sure you're incorporating that into your day. I know that we hear a lot on our consultations. So it seems like almost every consultation we do every week, we offer a lot of insight because we have a pretty good amount of experience. So that comparison may be good in that sense, but I think that, there is maybe the good part of being able to compare is you do have the opportunity to see what others have done or hear insight of what others have done. So, what are you kind of touched on a little bit there, but I wanted to expound upon that, just the dangers of the comparison.
I think the danger is that, you get so wrapped up in maybe trying to, do like maybe bigger and better, or not, it doesn't necessarily have to be bigger, but like, oh, well, this was just more streamlined or, whatnot. You get so caught up in that you might be missing out on enjoying the part of planning the wedding, and things like that. I think that's one thing we always try and stress to our couples is that, your day is going to go super, super fast, and you really want to try and absorb of as much of it as you can and enjoy each moment as it comes along. And it's definitely hard to do. It's just a matter of, I think just don't get bogged down and trying to make everybody else happy, and really just focus on the things that you want and that you're going to enjoy.
Well, I think that about the conversation we just had, what was that, Friday last week? With we have a wedding coming up this weekend here in South Carolina, and the couple that we were talking to, we had mentioned about, they had actually, it was kind of a first. I thought it was a rarity that we were kind of put on the spot where the groom to be had mentioned, like, is there anything that we can do, that would help, to help eliminate like basically stress from the day. And I think,
well, he was more focused on, is there anything we can do to like help you? Mm-hmm. Like he wanted to like make sure that like, we were prepared, and that, was there anything that they could do to help us? And, I think that's when we really stressed to him, like, just try and be as much in the moment and really pretend like we're not there,
right.
Which is, always hard to do when you have, essentially strangers,
Right. Because we're at a disadvantage because we're not in the same boat as the photographer. A lot of those who have the like the engagement session or something. Yeah,
but
like
even
that.
Then they're still pretty much strangers. Like they may have met them once, but it's anyway. So it's definitely kind of definitely took us back. I would say for sure. But
well, it was nice though. It was kind of refreshing. I mean, it was definitely refreshing because
yay, focus on us.
I mean, seriously though. I mean, a lot of times like we don't really think about that part, and so it's easy for us to compare from previous weddings. We'll compare like going into the mind. Like this is a brand new venue that we're going to this weekend for us at least. Now I have done my comparisons by checking the venue out ahead of time on Instagram, kind of looking at some other competitor work. And so that kind of leads me into my next point of the comparison. Just from a vendor standpoint, I think it's easy as a vendor, especially when we're scouting venues, to make sure that we are not, comparing ourselves to be emulating what other people have done, but bringing our own unique brand and attention to detail on the day of. And it's very easy. It's very easy as a vendor to get into this competitive mindset whenever realistically we're all trying to bring the same service to the couple. Now, maybe some vendors have a different personality than how we approach things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that by comparing that we're inadequate or not up to the same level as somebody else. And I think it's especially for me, I'm just going to speak for me personally. It's easy for me to look at someone else's work or look at something else that's been done at a venue and feel like, oh, well, I'm not necessarily up to that level, or like, well, my work's better than that. And I think that that's a dangerous trap as a vendor, because especially with the volume of weddings that we have, we go to a lot of venues. A lot of those venues are, well, a good portion of those venues are a repeat, appearance. So whether it's our team of, Kelly and I, whether it's Emmanuel and Brent, or whether it's Gabe and Rebecca, we have a wide array of team members. And so, we have, for example, we did a wedding earlier this year at the Barns of Koenig in Virginia, and then Gabe and Rebecca did a wedding at Barnes and Koenig. And even though we're still under the same name, though it was I was comparing the work from ours to theirs, and it's a totally different process. And so I think
it's a different
process, different look in a sense of like the way that they went, handled the day, and ultimately it's our brand.
I was gonna say, like,
I'm getting pushed back.
Yeah, well, because
pushed back on episode 5 from Kelley Widows.
I think you're missing the whole key. Like when you're talking about comparison, you can't ultimately, when all is said and done, you're not going to be able to compare one wedding day to the next, whether it's the same venue, the same planner. I mean, everything can be the exact same thing. Like you can have every single piece of the puzzle be the exact same thing, but ultimately it's going to still be different because you're dealing with different personalities. Mm-hmm. That's just the way that it is. We're all individual people, and we're all going to provide, different moments. One person's reaction to the exact same moment is going to be different than somebody else's. And it's just the way it is. Like and I think you want to compare because you are a little bit competitive.
I may be competitive. I'm enjoying the feistiness in episode 5. So that should be the title of this episode, the feistiness in Kelley Widows. The behind the scenes that many couples don't get to see. Well, I don't think any couples get to see. So, and that's what makes our competitive, because we do, even us, like we have a comparison nature on the day of, like we're a little competitive with each other. If not, your work would not have come to elevated to where it is.
Well, I don't think it's a competitive that I'm competitive with you. I'm trying to be better than what I was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I want to approach each wedding day to, how can I be better? Or not necessarily better, but how can I make this one different? Like, how can I make this one unique?
Well, there's nothing wrong with saying better. Because ultimately that's our goal any day of any wedding day we go into. We want to grow and make this a better, not that we put a bad effort up on any wedding. I think we give 1,000% every wedding we go into, but we ultimately want to make it the best possible event whenever we show up the day of. So, and I see you over there shaking your little head at me there, Kel. So
I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
So, but going back to that, you had actually brought up a point that I had there, with like, you could have the exact same venue, you could have the exact same planner, remove the couple, from one event, and the new couple to insert the new couple from the next. We've last year alone, we were at the Castle Hill Cider 3 times in a row, and 2 of those were back to back. And I know that was a question that we had, because one of the brides had mentioned, like, we know that you've been to this venue a couple times. I want to make sure, how can we make sure that this is different from the other ones? And
yeah, but like, even I think that's a perfect example. Like looking at all 3 of those weddings, like there was one that was held outside, but the other 2 were like held in the same location. But yeah, all of them are totally different. Like none of them, like, if you didn't know that it was at the same place, I don't even know that you would know that is the same venue, because they were all different, and they all had things that were unique to the couple. And I think that's why you and I spend so much time, doing our consultations, is because we don't get the opportunity to meet the couple beforehand. We do kind of want to get a feel for, who they are as people. And, I think the more time that, couples spend talking to their vendors, especially videography and photography, because ultimately those are the vendors that you're going to walk away with a more personal, piece from,
right.
and you're probably your event planner as well, because obviously they're going to be putting the details together to make it special for you. But I think those 3 vendors really kind of need to have an idea of who the couple is, you know, as people and what they value in their life. And I know, like, I think part of the thing that you do that I don't know if all vendors do or not, but like you do kind of like check out like Facebook and, you know, see like what their posts are, or if they have like the, you know, the knot or whatever, like you do look at those pages and read the things that they post so that you can kind of get a little bit of insight, you know, as to who they are. And I think that's important. I would encourage all couples to, you know, try and, you know, open that up, you know, especially to those 3 vendors. I think, you know, that will.
Well, and for the sake of making me not sound like a stalker, you know, I do like to, you know, I love when the couples have their, like they have a wedding wire page or a knot or, you know, something that gives a little bit of a story, because I think you're exactly right. It's hard. I mean, it's hard we're kind of getting a little off topic here, but it's hard as a vendor going in cold, not really, you know, not knowing much about the personality. And though we may spend like upwards to 30 to 45 minutes on our consultations trying to, you know, ask the right questions and, you know, just get to know their personalities in general, those little things like that. Like, you know, I mean, we'll have a lot of so on our Instagram page, for example, a lot of our either prospective couples or newly booked couples that we have, you know, they'll follow us on social media. And this is one of the reasons, not to give a shameless plug, but this is another reason why we do this podcast, is because we want the couples to be able to get to know our personalities. Now, the feistiness of episode 5 is not something that you're going to find on your wedding day, but, you know, we we do definitely like to, you know, make sure that we're connecting. And I mean, obviously I have a very dry and sarcastic nature about me, so I'm, you know, I definitely try to, you know, use that humor a lot. You know, but I mean, we'll even talk sometimes on consultations, like, you know, like we try to compare, like, you know, just how we feel that the consultation went overall with our personalities. You know, we're pretty not easygoing. I don't want to, because I think when I say that, it makes us sound lazy. But
no,
like,
I think we're definitely more of a laid back couple, though.
Well, I mean, I think that could be attributed to our age. You know, I mean, we are, you know,
but sometimes you're intense too, like, you know, on the wedding day, sometimes you can be intense.
Well, I can be intense in the moment. Like, I know kind of like, not what that's going to sound horrible to like some kid. Oh, he's intense. Like, you know, like I'm flipping tables. So, what do you mean the first look's not ready?
Maybe maybe like more focused.
Right. Yes.
Is better.
So very intentional. I'm very intentional on the day of to knowing like what's coming up next and making sure that we're properly prepared for that. So, you know, I mean, going back to the original basis of this conversation though, like, you know, what are some of the insights that you give the couples that, you know, they are going to compare other weddings? You know, we have a wedding coming up at the end of the month, you know, that they booked us because they found our YouTube video that we did for another wedding. So obviously they were comparing that venue. So what are your sound, insightful input, you know, thoughts that you can give? I don't even know if that made sense, but you can give the couples as they're trying to compare different things going into their day.
Well, I think it's good to, you know, I think it's a good idea to, you know, kind of do a little bit of research and maybe see what other people, especially when you're looking at, you know, venues and things like that, you know, what have people done, you know, that I liked about this, you know, how can I, you know, maybe transform this to be a little bit more fitted towards, you know, my personality. You know, I think those are all really good things as far as like comparing different, you know, things. You know, like I said, I think I would steer clear of the thought process of, you know, how can I make this better? Because, you know, what you may see is, you know, better, you know, may not translate to actually being, you know,
the best fit for the day.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, when you're I think when you're planning and you're looking at all the different options and you're seeing what other people have done and what other people haven't done, you have to step back and you just have to say, hey, what do I like? And what is going to work best for what's important to me? Because I know we've talked to a lot of couples that are like, oh, well, I really like the idea of having like all my photos done, beforehand, but I don't really want to do a first look, kind of thing. And so it's like you have to figure out like what's more important to you. Do you want to be able to like maybe do less photos after you're married so that maybe you can go to cocktail hour? Because your priority for that day is I really want to spend as much time with, the people that have, come to our wedding to take part in, our joy and our excitement, or do I really want to have like that feeling of anticipation, before I walk down the aisle or before I see her walk down the aisle. So I think that's when you have to sit down and you have to, as a couple, really determine like where your priorities are. I know like that's one of the questions that we always ask them, like, especially when we're dealing with like timing, like, that's one of the questions we always ask, like, okay, where's your priority? Like, is this more important to you or is this more important to you?
Well, I would say that, like comparing with a planner, if you have a planner for the day of, comparing the notes with them, like, hey, listen, we would like to do, let's just roll with your example there. We want to have all of our photos knocked out as much as we can that don't involve the couple themselves ahead of not doing a first look. So comparing a timeline that someone has had, previously, seeing the allotted amount of time that you properly kind of need for that. If your ceremony is at 4:00 and you're planning and you're doing like a first touch at like 3:30, you're not going to have enough time in 30 minutes that's not unrealistic.
Right,
even an hour is almost borderline unrealistic as far as if you want to get a large volume of those photos done.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that taking the time to find a day of coordinator, a manager, a day manager, or what did Stacy call it? A day of manager. If you're not going to do a full on day, planner for the full event. Finding someone that's going to, that you can kind of bounce these ideas off of. Obviously, comparing with the photographer who has done a million, if you have a pretty well established photographer, they've done a lot of weddings, so they know the amount of time it normally takes for that.
And then some photographers work at a different pace than others. Some are like, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3. I only need to, it's only gonna take me like 15 minutes to do this, where we've had other photographers are like, I like to allow more time so that if I need to adjust, to a different location or, whatever, so it's definitely, I think when you're coming with photos, I would always,
we've had a little bit of a run here of late, and, having a couple weddings back to back where it was just one photographer and, and of course it's Kelly and I, or our teams, it's two of them. And so one of the things that we always try to do is we always try to make sure that the photographers know that, hey, we're here in that process to act in every capacity, almost as a second shooter, like trying to round people up, trying to help facilitate in that, because we want to be helpful.
Yeah.
And so in comparison to other vendors, I'm not sure if that happens. I'm not sure if it's we stay in our lane, they stay in theirs, but we definitely, we don't try to like swerve out of our lane, but we definitely go out of our way to make sure that we're working hand in hand with the other vendors. And so I don't know if that's normal or not. I know it's normal for us just because we're helpful people, I believe, so obviously we're getting towards the end of this podcast, but, I just wanted to take a couple minutes and just really thank all of our couples for this year. You guys, everyone has been, even the ones from last year, but I mean, we have been blessed with the opportunity to be a part of everyone's day. This year has been smoother than last year. Just on the back end,
Well, things have been smoother because we haven't had as like last year was a hard year.
Yeah.
Just
well, we didn't have we didn't have the family loss, and so all of our edits are, we're at the 45-day mark or under, so we're definitely hitting our target goals that we tell the couples. I'll just speak for me. I mean, I've been far more communicative this year. And then considering the loss last year, I think that had a little bit, that's not an excuse. We definitely are growing. As we grow, we're learning on the fly. And so we're extremely grateful to, it seems like we keep doing a new consultation or an inquiry email every couple of days. So we're definitely very positive about our growth. And I don't know if we publicly say this enough about how appreciative we are for our team members. But Kelly, I would like us, take a moment just to really, I mean, we wouldn't be who we are without them.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Emmanuel and Gabe have been with us for,
a year, over a year.
Yeah. Well, probably like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Now,
close to 2. And then great additions with Brent and Rebecca and Keith. So we're definitely very, very excited about the future here. We're not trying to double book our dates here in South Carolina per se when it comes
Although if you know anybody that's interested in videography and would like an apprenticeship,
in South Carolina.
In South Carolina.
Right. So, but I mean, we, so we're definitely
I think mostly, I mean, when I say that we're looking to expand, I think that we're unique in that, we really try and, meet the couples where they're at. And in ordinary to do that, we do have to have, some flexibility, and we do have to have, the availability to work with that.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously do compensate, but we compensate in other areas as well on top of that. And I think that if it wouldn't be for the heart that we have from our team members, we are very grateful. We have good-hearted people that really genuinely care.
Yes. And all of them, have the same philosophy that we do, that we're there to, to be a part of their day, and to, and they feel, blessed that, that they're able to, to take part in something that is so special.
Well, we just delivered that, full highlight yesterday for Allison and Walker. And so Allison had, texted me back, and she said, you guys were, it spoke directly to that, just about our, not just our professionalism on the day of, but just how we genuinely cared. And she was, raving about, Brent.
Yeah, because that was Brent's first day with us.
That was Brent's first day with us. They were playing spin the bottle, and whenever the bottle would land on somebody, they would make them kind of flash dance during the reception,
which I had never seen. That was new. I liked that. It was interesting. I would totally incorporate that in my wedding.
Yeah, comparing that to other weddings, we've never seen that before.
Right, so, exactly.
But the bottle landed on Brent, and and he had broke out into a spontaneous dance, and it's great to see, the amount of fun that we're having on the day of, where, I think that where there are moments that can be a little intense whenever the schedule's running tight. But overall, I think I feel so lucky, and I'm speaking on our behalf. I feel so lucky and, and blessed that, God has definitely brought some great individuals into who we are. And so we're definitely excited. We have a wedding this weekend. We have another one next weekend here in South Carolina. And then we have another one at the end of the month in Virginia. And then we have a little bit of downtime. So
and we also have a quinceañera this month too.
That's
so
right.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah. So we do. So we have a pretty full July. August is somewhat light, but I think that we're going to keep it.
Yeah, I think August. The kids are going to be transitioning back to school, and we do have an event in Pennsylvania. We're going to be back.
And another
in our
wedding.
hometown,
and we have another wedding. This, so we do have weddings in August. So, but we're just a little lighter, and then the fall hits, and then it is going to be crazy. So there is I know October alone is ridiculous. I think that's we're already at wedding 32 coming into this weekend. And a good 5% of our weddings for the year are in October alone.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so just wanted to give a little bit of an update on where we're at. Of course, if you're listening to this, 10 months from now, I guess none of this is going to matter. So, but, anyways, so, but we're just, wanted to say that we're grateful. We're going to keep doing the podcast regularly. And we're just thankful to be a part of, all of our couples and prospective couples' upcoming weddings, and just grateful for all the opportunities we've had to this point. So, Kelly, would you like to give any closing or landing the plane remarks? So, all right. Well, that's not going to work. So, we're going to.
I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't know. I'm just so. All right. Well, this beats it. This is the episode This beats it. I'm just making stuff up. Well, anyways, this is the end of episode 5 of the Askem Studios Wedding Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, many more. So wherever you find your podcast, just give us a listen. Look forward to coming to you with another episode here soon. So bye, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.